Here we are at Amazing Nigeria, which is Kelechi Amadi Obi's photo exhibition on just amazing natural sights, just nature, the best you can find in Nigeria. I mean, somebody who has taken the time to go to remote places, to places that you wouldn't even feel safe now going, but just to see the phenomenal, incredible place that Nigeria is geographically. I really ask people to try to see this amazing Nigeria exhibition, especially for teenagers, for young people, for people who haven't seen the broadness of Nigeria because it hasn't been as safe to travel. Like when, you know, the photographer was a child and might have been able to travel more around Nigeria to remote places. So I'm so excited to be here, as you can tell. And I thank Kelechi for doing this. I thank the photographer. It's excellent.
Creative photography is Kelechi Amadi Obi's forte. But there is a lot more to his craft than meets the eye.
Let's say Fela's music. I mean, the music sounds good, but the message inside it is timeless, you know, and has this emotional connection to the audience. And those two things combined make his work extremely creative. Then sometimes, no matter how creative what you have done is, if it's commonplace, then it doesn't look so impactful anymore, so you need to find a new way. So sometimes the novelty of what you're doing, it makes it seem more creative. Photography came to me, I didn't go to it, sort of. I used to make photos of models in order to paint them. And I found that the better I was at photographing my subject, the more information I got from my paintings. But it turns out that I was enjoying the process of the photography, and the reference materials themselves started looking more like artworks. And then people started saying, can we buy the photograph also, you know, apart from buying painting? And I got invited to an exhibition in the year 2000, you know, went to Bamako, Mali, for photography biennale. That was the first time I was leaving Nigeria as an artist. I wasn't on the back of painting, it was on the back of photography. And I wasn't even a photographer. The work I was exhibiting were those photographs that I was using as reference materials for my paintings. And that was how I found myself. From Mali, I was invited to Milan, you know, to have the exhibition. We formed a group called Depth of Field. We started making photos, myself, Uche James, T.Y. Bello, Amaize Jekere, and then Emeka and Zainab. And we encouraged each other to make creative work. And that was how photography started calling to me. While that was happening, I was still making a living as a painter. But I then started developing passion for the craft of photography.
An obsession with the world of Marvel comic books as a child would open up Kelechi's imagination and curiosity to explore his creativity.
I marveled at the power of those comics to tell stories just through visual arts, through drawing. So I started to emulate, I started to draw, I started to make my own comics. And by the time I went to secondary school, I continued. It was just what I loved doing. But, you know, I come from a family of lawyers. My father is a high court judge, you know, and in Umuahia, where I grew up, I'd never been to a gallery, I'd never been to a museum, never seen an art exhibition. Never met a real painter, but I read avidly about all the Renaissance artists and all, anything to do with art that was in the State Library. I read several times because of my interest. So when it was time to go to study, decided to study in university, law became the natural choice. So I found myself admitted to University of Nigeria. That was when I got to Enugu to study law. Then a whole new world of art got exposed to me. There was an Archi department in Enugu campus. There was a group of artists that were exhibiting in Enugu then at Bona Gallery. Then there was the British Council. Then there was IMT that had a fine art department. So I was in awe of this new world that I had found. So it was in my year 3. I was reading a book called The Spirit of Apollo. Just a normal self-help book, Think and Grow Rich kind of thing about, chasing your dreams and things. And I came to a chapter in that book and I said, you know what, I have to streamline my energies. So there and then I decided I was going to be an artist. And that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I asked myself that question. If there was no possibility of failure, what would you do for the rest of your life? And unequivocally, I knew that art was what it was.
1993 was the year that Kelechi's journey as a visual artist took flight, while photography became a mainstay by the year 2000.
Photography provided me with a voice, to air my opinion about things, and society gobbled it up.
Which brings me to my next question. What is your perception of what your clientele likes about your work? What draws people to your work, in your opinion?
Well, after so many years of studying visual arts as a painter, I had investigated deeply into the power of visuality. What is aesthetics? What is visual impact? How does the brain see color? How do people react to texture and lines and all these design elements? When clients come to me, they're hoping for me to use the same skill to tell their own stories. So I have to listen to them carefully and understand where they're coming from and see how I can use all my visual skills to help push their story. And that is where I sort of stand out in terms of how my work speaks to my clients. And it is something that is not fixed. Every story is unique in its own, what it means. And the method of execution has to, be tailored towards that uniqueness of the story. And each time, we keep finding new ways to tell those stories.
So you're pretty much selling a mind share, your perspective of a notion, a person's world, and bringing it to life.
That's it.
What really do you look to elucidate in that image? Is it a notion of subjectivity or clarity?
When I'm doing my own thing, sometimes I'm in search. So sometimes I decide to go unscripted. I just go with a very abstract feeling. I want it raw. I want to feel the pulse of the city. I want the chaos of Lagos. So I take a musician who says he wants to bring the authenticity of Africanness. I say, I will put you on top of a downfall bus in the middle of traffic, and then we shall shoot. But I don't know what will happen. I didn't go to Reiki to make sure that there will be a particular boss. I am flowing with the madness of the city, and it eventually leads me to a point where I create something I've never seen before. So those are two different routes to get to my work. Everybody's got different influences. I mean, there are people who want to be themselves, and they know they have a strong sense of self-awareness. And they'll say, look, Kelechi, this is who I am. I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that. Just keep it simple. This is who I am. And then I dig deep into them. There are those who say, look, you see this picture that this photographer did? You see the way they shot it? Can you do something like that? It's usually where I quietly tell them that, no, I will not do something like that, but I will do something better or something different. Because clients can also push you into plagiarism, a lot of times.
You've been in this industry for many years. How do you deal with when you see your works get replicated?
So for me, that people are sort of inspired by what I'm doing and are creating work based on that inspiration is the ultimate endorsement of my work. It shows me that, okay, I'm quite an influence in my industry. You understand? But I've also come to terms with the fact that the flow of creativity is endless, provided you let the pathway open and let the water flow of creativity through you seamlessly. Don't stop it. If you stop it, then it becomes scarce. It stops flowing. Then you become afraid that people have copied you or copied your style.
And then stifles you.
That it stifles you. But when people copy any style, it encourages me to dump it and go for the next and go for the next. So it has kept me relevant over the years.
The global creative industries have evolved over the years, with the proliferation of the internet and digital platforms opening up newer distribution and visibility platforms.
The creative industry itself, through the internet, has been able to grow powerfully. You know, I mean, from the movie world with all the streaming platforms globally that are now pouring money into the industry, to music through streaming. You see how the streaming organizations, Apple, Spotify, the rest of them, have liberated Nigerian musicians from piracy, you know, and things like that. It's completely game changer and created a network that took their music to the world through TikTok and the rest of them. It's very powerful. For photography, we are also experiencing that kind of renaissance. Could be better, could be stronger. We need stronger implementation. There is not, I don't think, enough case law on intellectual property theft yet in our environment. People are not encouraged, you know, to go through our judicial system to fight, you know, for some infringements. But I see a growth that is happening.
I like that we're talking about this because we certainly have a new crop and generation of photographers. The youth are coming up doing a lot of really amazing work, but the creative infrastructure, which is, of course, we spoke about intellectual property, areas like that. Do you believe that it's enough, robust enough, buoyant enough to absorb the skill that we have on ground?
I do think that we're just scratching the surface. It's a huge amount of work to be done. First, on education. The Nigerian people themselves need to be educated on the fact that the person who makes an image owns the copyright to the image. People don't know this. A lot of people are ignorant of it. They think that once they pay the photographer to shoot for them, that they own the copyright. That's a problem right there. So we need to start from educating both the photographer and the clientele, so the general population. So I see people all the time, they just take your picture and publish in a magazine without credit. That is dangerous. They are exposing themselves, you know, to litigation. If you're a litigious photographer, you could actually just live creating pictures and be making money from going to court here in Nigeria, the way people keep infringing on your copyright. So it's important for us to do that. We need to lay that foundation. We also need to educate the creators and the image makers on the different areas through which they can make a living. Limited edition prints is still in its infancy in the Nigerian art market. So we need to educate the collectors. We need to educate the photographers who are making these works to understand what it means to have a limited edition print.
What is a limited edition?
Oh well, if you make a photograph, for instance, you can decide to sell it as an artwork, but it is now sold in limited edition print. So you can say it's limited to 10 prints and one artist's proof. So the value will increase the smaller the edition.
From limited edition prints to cross-country creative exhibitions, Kelechi's photography knows no bounds. One of his projects, Amazing Nigeria, is testament to this.
I went around Nigeria and I photographed, what I considered the most spectacular landscapes, in the country. And I then had an exhibition called Amazing Nigeria, where I exhibited those photographs. Those photographs were in limited edition prints and they were collected by different individuals. So it's a limited edition of 10, which means I have to monitor that I cannot sell more than 10 of that image to maintain the integrity of its scarcity. So this is a completely new world that is huge in different parts of the world, but photographers haven't started exploring and exploiting that.
Could you speak to the demand for your skill over time? Do you see it climbing upwards or do you see it diminishing in terms of the appreciation for it?
We're busy. We're always busy. Each year gets busier, and it's natural, really. I mean, if we over-deliver for each client, they will come back and they will tell other people. So our clientele is multiplying and our price is going up. So in terms of patronage for me, I have absolutely no problem. We're on an upward trajectory. It's a good thing. We don't know when it will slow down. But I really am in touch with a lot of photographers who are complaining about patronage, who are complaining that things are a little tough, especially now that the dollar is behaving the way it's behaving and all that, where the economy is going. So people are complaining, but because, well, maybe we cater to a special group of clients, people who are doing global business are not complaining because they are earning dollars.
Of course, we're in the age of technological trends. Quite a number of things happening. Artificial intelligence, tools are changing, times have changed. Of course, you are a testament to this in terms of even the equipment that you've used. Let's talk about the future of photography and creative photography in relation to these technological trends. What do you see happening?
I started photography from the time of film. We used to go to the dark room to process and print, and now it's digital. When that happened, each time, when the QSS machine came that was processing 35mm film, commercially, a lot of the studios closed. When digital came, a lot of photographers couldn't handle Photoshop and things. They closed shop. So it's like that. Whenever there is a new iteration with innovation and technology, there are some people who then face it with criticism and things. When you do that, then you lose out because it is here to stay. You understand? So now we have AI. AI is becoming better and better and better every day. And we're beginning to see all these images coming out of AI. With AI, you then have to understand the language. It's now about words. So you have to be an expert at the language of your profession. So you then have to study the essence of it. You have to understand the relevant words to be able to prompt AI to do anything for you, But what inevitably is going to happen is that those people who are engaged in just the technicalities and the craft of just making stuff will lose their jobs. But those who have some essence, who have their humanity, who have their essence imbued in their work, can never be replaced. So this whole advancement in technology will, first, do not ignore it. Engage. So when AI came out, I was like, what is this? Now there's generative fill in Adobe Photoshop. Beautiful. You have to understand how it works, Midjourney and the rest of them. Try it out. Find out if it can help your work, So we have to be in a constant state of evolution.
And so, from elevating blank canvases to changing shutter speeds, this creative's mind keeps pushing way beyond the lens.
Owolawi for Arise News.